Okay, so I'm camera shy, but a super hot topic was out last week, and I don't generally share my opinion, but the scriptures do let us know that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. So I will share our testimony. So I had somebody ask me recently. No, it wasn't super recently. But well, it was more than one person. They asked, "What happened to you and your husband? Like what happened to y'all? Y'all was raised, we were both raised in the apostolic church, and we met in the organization that we were both raised in, and they kind of asked like, why y'all don't go to church no more?" And so I will share our testimony with you. So we met 14 years ago. Well, we got married 14 years ago. And it was rough. It was really, really rough. We, it was bad. I can't say every marriage is super rocky, but our marriage was super rocky. We were going to counseling sessions. We were meeting in pastors' offices. We were reading books. We were trying all of the things, and we just couldn't get it together. So I remember praying. I was like, Father, can you have him lead me? Help him to lead me. I'll follow him, because this is a different topic. But I was not submissive as a wife. I wasn't. Again, that's a different story for a different day. But I remember praying that. I was like, if you teach him to lead, like if you lead him, which is scriptural, you lead him, I'll follow him. And I didn't necessarily know what I was praying when I prayed that, but that was my prayer. Shortly after that, I left him. We couldn't get it. We could not get it together. We couldn't get it together. And so, he came to where I was, to gather me to him. And then we moved with our children to the South. We didn't stay long though. We were there for about a month, and then he led me back here, right? So it was like a clean sweep. We came back to the area that we were in, not the same house, not the same set of circumstances, but we came back to the general area that we were in before. But this time he was leading me, and that is key. So what happened was, it seemed like things were getting back to not business as usual, because now at this point he's leading me, right? But what ended up happening was COVID. I don't want to say COVID. The what were we calling it? The pandemic. The pandemic came, and everything got like flipped on its head, right? So we were in the house, and we started reading the Bible. That's what happened. That was what happened. We literally started reading the Bible. I remember. Now this happened before the split and everything. This was in the house that we lived in, prior to me leaving. I remember reading the Bible after I started praying that prayer for him to lead me. And I was in Genesis, right? I was like, I'm just gonna read the Bible straight through. In Genesis, I read the account where Abraham and Sarah lied, saying that they were brother and sister. He told her to say, you're my sister, la la la. And what the king, like what happened with the king, how everything happened. And I was like, okay, we went over this in Sunday school. I remember, kept reading. It happened a second time, and I was like, what? Wait a minute. They didn't tell me in Sunday school this happened more than one time. And I I felt jilted. Like, why didn't nobody tell me? Like, why didn't I know that? Right? Because I didn't read my own Bible. That's why. So, kept reading, found out that Isaac and Rebecca did the same thing. And I was like, nobody said, like, why didn't I know that for myself? The Bible wasn't just written since I prayed this prayer. Why don't I know these things? And that is what, it was a jolt. And I was just like, I need to read this Bible. I need to. Then what happened after that? I went and read the book of Esther. And I found my favorite character in the Bible. His name is Mordecai. Mordecai is my uncle, okay? Mordecai, when I was like, why didn't I know this story? Why don't I know the things that are in the scriptures? Why don't I know the word for real? Like, that was so upsetting to me, that having going to church and depending on somebody else's breakdown, somebody else's knowledge, somebody else's feeding me, it didn't suffice anymore. So once we were back up north, what ended up happening was we started doing exactly what we learned in the scriptures. I'm going to repeat it. We started doing exactly what we were reading. We became doers of the word, not hearers only. That was what happened for us. He was leading, I was following. We started doing. Here's another big one. I remember I was a seafood head. I used to work for seafood restaurants. This is all of the things. I remember I used to buy, every week I would buy me a bag of shrimp, right? Every week. You can count on me having me a bag of shrimp in the refrigerator. I remember as we were reading through the Levitical laws, he was learning and teaching us the dietary law. He told me, he said, don't eat that shrimp. He said, throw that shrimp out in the refrigerator. And I was like, I just bought that shrimp. Like, this is going to be my last bag of shrimp. That's what's going to happen. And he told me again, he said it again. He said, you need to throw that bag of shrimp out. And then I don't think right at that moment he read the scripture to me, but he did say it again. And I was just like, listen to me. I went and opened that bag of shrimp. Rotten. Brand new bag of shrimp. It was rotten. It was putrid. And I was like, oh my goodness. I threw the bag of shrimp away. Because I was forced to, but more so I was changed by that. I don't know if that makes sense, but it changed me to open that bag of shrimp and it was gone and I just bought it. So after that, we just started doing exactly what the scripture says. So as we were reading, we read, of course, through the Torah, and we learned the law, right? Because for all of our lives, we were taught that the law was bad. We were taught that the law was done away with. We started doing, again, we became doers of the word and not hearers only. And that was what saved our marriage. That was what it's saving our lives. It's what we're teaching our children. That's just our testimony. I remember when we moved into the house that we live in now, we moved in on a Thursday. It was the first Thursday in September of 2020. That Saturday, we both had to work. He had to work overtime. He was working from home because it was during the pandemic. He was working from home. I had to go do hair at someone's house. I was still traveling at the time. I was no longer in the salon. I was traveling to my clients' homes to do their hair. When we got home, this was our first Saturday in this house. When we got home, we both were like, we can't work on Saturdays anymore. He was like, from now on, we will be keeping the Sabbath day. And starting that week, I remember, and then look, this was the thing. I don't want to say the craziest thing. It's not crazy. This was the thing. Our first Sabbath, our first Saturday was a Day of Atonement, right? So our very first time keeping the Sabbath day wasn't a Sabbath. We learned that it was the Day of Atonement. So we had to fast that day, and we did it. It was like, it was faith. When I say it was just all faith. And from that time until now, we've never missed the Sabbath day. We do all of our work. In 6 days shall you work. The seventh is the Sabbath. It's a day of rest. We get everything done. Friday night, we get in his house. Friday in the daytime. Come sundown Friday night, we're keeping the Sabbath. And that is how our pattern has been. As we learn it, we do it. As we learn it, we teach it to our children. And the Most High has blessed us so, immensely. You would not believe the peace that we have. You would not believe, just in obeying the scriptures. We have a clear understanding of the scriptures. We have my husband's vision for our family lines up with the word, and we do what the word says. And that's just our testimony. So, dear younger years, let Yah be true and every man a liar. Shalom.